And we are back. Time to put the rest of Sinnoh behind us and hopefully do so without losing more teammates. Because losing 2 starters within 15 minutes in the previous part is definitely some type of record. Anyway, since we beat Crash Awake last time, we have to start by chasing this Team Galactic Grunt. After battling our rival real quickly. His entire team got one shot, so anyway, we chased the Grunt all the way to Lake Valor, beat him, and Cynthia gives us the medicine for the Psyducks. And then we can just head to Celestic Town, where we stomp out another Galactic Grunt, and with all that minor stuff out of the way, you know, just casual Pokemon things, we train a little bit more to evolve Tornese and Ruri into a Bronzong and Staraptor respectively, and then it was time to deal with Fantina. Fantina opens with her Drift Blim and uses Minimize, but we land a critical hit Feint Attack and knocks it out in one blow. Simple as that. Tornese is then able to out-tank and stall the Gengar for a bit before knocking it out, and then we just had her Mismagius left. The plan was to get Brooke in on a Shadow Ball so Mismagius would have to waste turns attacking, but she always went for Psybeam first to turn Brooke into a Psychic type instead. It was mildly annoying at worst, but thankfully the RNG hacks didn't get us in this battle, granting us the Fog Badge with relative ease. Now, with the newfound ability to surf, we catch Gracie the Glameow on our way to Canalave City, and then in said city, we catch Shore the Tentacruel off of the pier. Pretty decent Boxmon to have, I'd say. We then take a detour to Iron Island to meet up with Riley and chase out some Team Galactic goons while there. And while on Iron Island, we catch Ivark the Onyx and get the egg from Riley that hatched into Kirishima the Riolu. Before we take on Byron, we do another detour to the Fuego Ironworks where we catch Poppy the Finion, and then south of Sandgem we fish and catch Kaido the Magikarp, just filling out the box and getting breeding partners for the team. With all those additional routes done, it was time for Cannon Lab Gym, and Millen basically was all I needed with her newly learned surf. She's too strong, she can't be stopped. Now, before we go on the trek to the lakes, as Team Galactic are doing their shenanigans at this point of the game, it was time to cash in at that one encounter that has been waiting for us. Welcome to the team, Tiamat the Gibble. Now, besides us easily dispatching of Saturn and Mars, not much happens for a good portion up until Snowpoint. We do catch ourselves Hedwig the Noctowl, Big Bertha the Snover, and Kuriyami the Sneasel, however. But now we're actually facing a bit of a dilemma. Ruri has the MVP status now, since she has been with us while we're taking down 6 entire gyms. She has partook a lot in the game, and been holding her own during that time. So I don't need to use her at all anymore because she's guaranteed to come with us to Unova. Except the problem is that we don't have a Flying Egg Group male that can be bred with her and give us the starter when we go there. We only have 2 options left when it comes to a breeding partner for Ruri. Get a male Chatot or a male Golbat by not enacting the dupe skulls in Victory Road. If we don't find one of those 2 in the last few locations we have, Ruri becomes a void teammate that we can't transfer at this point, so there is really no point to using Ruri until that point. But for now, it was time to train so we could take on Canada's, and Ruri is still going to be with us. She does hold her own quite a bit. And then I end up getting a shiny Cricketune off camera. I named her Kylie, and yeah, second shiny of the Genlocke so far. Don't have much else to say, though I might have some plans for this one. And getting a shiny is just always cool. Oh, and I also got a Burmy I named Baggins from the Honey Tree at Route 221 next to the Pal Park, so that was neat. And I guess this is a good time to mention the absolute insanity that is the Versus Seeker. It's a very safe method to train, and also kinda broken, because it gets so much money out of doing this. And by doing this, you can also get select EVs to train up your Pokemon stats too. The only downside to the Versus Seeker is that it can fail, and then you have to recharge it, so it can take a lot more time than usual grinding, but it is honestly one of the best grinding methods in a Pokemon game to date, in my honest opinion. It's up there with the Odino farming. Plus, it turns any rematchable trainer into your personal bank account, which let me, for example, easily buy a ton of medicine, proteins, carbos and all that to quickly boost the stats of my Pokemon. It's kinda broken in actuality. So then, after making several withdrawals from my additional bank accounts, as mentioned, it was time to face off against Candace of Snowpoint Gym. Burke clicks return on Snover, Snover falls. Millen clicks surf on Medicham twice, Medicham falls. Atlas clicks close combat on Abomasnow falls. Annabelle clicks double hit on Sneasel. Sneasel does not fall, so I have to switch into Tornadus and click Rock Smash. Then the Sneasel falls. So, yeah, that was Candice. Done and done. So, while that was easy and fine and dandy, next we have the Galactic Headquarters. We storm in, do the stuff we need to do, beat Cyrus, then we just go and stomp outside and oops, wait a minute, never mind. Saturn actually knocks out Tornadus with confusion because I got distracted by food. Sounds familiar. Well, shoot. There goes a very powerful defensive teammate. Just as we had to prep for the climb up to the Spear Pillar to take on the Team Galactic in the final showdown there. And I was starting to really like Bronzong too. I haven't really used Bronzong before, so yeah, that kinda stinks. After a relatively quick training session, which I should have done for a lot longer because I'm actually a bit under-leveled for this point in the game, I made my way up to the top of the Spear Pillar for the final showdown with Team Galactic. First, of course, is the duo of Mars and Jupiter. Brooke and Timmy's Munchlax start out relatively strong, taking out the Bronzor and getting Skuntank to about half before Brooke got confused, leaving Rory to pick up the slack. She might not be coming with us to Nova, but she is still putting in work. Both the Staraptors cleaned up most of their team before the last Golbat came out, a few priority moves after, and a tactical heal takes that one out, and that was the end of Mars and Jupiter. More or less sped through that battle. But now comes the frustrating part. Cyrus' final team. He's only got 4 Pokémon, but they pack the tools to end Nuzlocke lives. He starts with Hunchcrow and admittedly just sacks it off to Brooke as she lands a critical hit return as he uses Embargo, so at least that one went by quickly. His Weavile is equally scary, but thankfully I do have Atlas and he one-shots the Glass Cannon with a Brick Break. But now the 2 problems remain. Crobat is first, and this monster terrifies me. It has Confuse Ray to confuse me, it has Bite and Air Slash to flinch me, it also has Cross Poison to easily score crits and potential poison. All of this on the highest speed stat in the entire game basically, ensuring it will almost always go first and cripple your Pokemon. I spent 7 minutes on this Crobat alone, having to heal and dodge through its moves, which is why I should have trained more so I could have been at a more decent level to take some hits. But Crobat goes down eventually and we're just left with Gyarados. Not threatening on the first glance until you remember it is a Gyarados and it hits like a truck. It took the combined bulk of both Milan and Atlas to withstand his onslaught, but we made it out without losing a Pokemon. For now. Then we walk up to Palkia, tap it with the Master Ball, and pang zoom straight to Sunnyshore's City for the final gym battle, after healing up and doing a tiny training session on the route before. With Manny now on the team as a fully evolved Mamoswine and Tiamat as a Gabite, we have a very strong advantage against Volkner's electric types. And I shall spare you the boring details. Raichu and Luxor gets OHKO'd by Earthquakes, and his Amipom gets OHKO'd by Atlas's Close Combat. But see, the problem was his Octillery. I was prepared for most everything, except that thing and its incredibly diverse move pool. And some sloppy moves caused me to forget about Brooke's color change, and she was killed by a super effective Aurora Beam after being hit by a Bullet Seed and turned into a Grass type first. Sure, we got the badge easily afterwards, but that really stung. Not just because of my own fibbing and mistakes leading to Brooke getting defeated, but precisely because it was Brooke who fell. Brooke had been a valuable asset through both the latter halves of Hoenn as well as most of this run in Sinnoh. Her incredibly diverse move pool, her surprising ability to tank hits especially from the special side, and her just overall joy of a Pokemon to use. I didn't think I'd actually end up liking a Kecleon so much. Like, I don't think I've done this in a Genlocke recap so far. I can't recall, it's been a year. But I highly suggest that you give Kecleon a try if you haven't done so yet. Not even in a Nuzlocke, just in general. Kecleon just is such a fun Pokemon to use. That's what this entire section is mostly about. And with hidden abilities becoming available in Unova, they even have access to Protean. Sure, it's not a good ninja, but it's still a really cool Pokemon to use. Like, I'm mostly going off script for this right now. Let's get back to the actual video and drop most of this emotional stuff. The Victory Road and the Pokemon League is next, so it was time to put together a team and then grind my ass off before we go through that final gauntlet. As it stands right now, I have 4 MVPs that do not need to participate, in the form of Atlas, Ruri, Milen, and Annabelle. Sadly, Ruri didn't find a partner and was still probably trying to cope with Genbu dying in the last part, so she was not joining us for Unova, like I previously stated. The team I end up constructing for the league has no shortage of powerhouses though, in the forms of Boreas the Volraid and Phoebe the Shiny Melodic, both finally getting out of the PC. Yes, I did say them for the league specifically. It's all strategy. Then we have Manny the Mammothswine and a now fully evolved Tiamat the Garchomp, no real explanation needed there. Ichika the Medicham, which turned out to be the Victory Road encounter, and then what is probably the most controversial pick, Kylie the Shiny Kricketune. There is a method to the madness and a reason why I picked her, and you'll see soon enough why that is, if I remember to explain it. So, after trouncing Timmy one last time at the league, it was time. Up first is of course Oran and his bug types. His Dustock surprised me by leaving Madness Earthquake, but otherwise that was no problem. Tiamat dispatches Heracross and Drapion without problems. And then comes his Vespiquen, with me getting to show Kylie in action a little bit. She is EV trained to take hits, and she has Perisong and Protect. Simply put, she is meant to get sneaky chaos on Pokemon using the Paris strategy. Of course, I forget the AI actually knows how to switch on the last Paris turn, so it is what it is. Boreas comes in on Beautifly and one-shot it with Ice Beam after that, and then Phoebe clears up with Kylie started with the Vespiquen. Next we have Ground-type trainer Bertha. Her Quagsire easily gets taken out by a Toxic and Surf combo by Phoebe, followed by her Sudowoodo getting done in by Ichika as I test the waters with her. I also forgot that Drain Punch only has 5 power points in Generation 4, but that's just a minor issue. Boreas comes in on Golem. I misclick and pick Crunch, but thankfully all the Golem does is set up Sandstorm, so I still get the KO with Surf. Lucky. Phoebe easily blocks off with Powdon, and Kylie gets a chance at redemption by taking out Bertha's Wishcash, and Tiamat scoring a burn Firefang as well, for good measure. Next up is Fire-type trainer Flint, and I just feel bad for this man in Diamond and Pearl. His team is pretty bad. Rapidash and Inferno gets OHKO'd by Tiamat's Earthquake, Lopunny gets OHKO'd by Ichika's Drain Punch, Steelix is a Steelix, and Driftbloom just sits there and dies to Toxic. Lucian and his Psychic team is next. Mr. Mime has paper defenses and gets one-shot by Manny. Boreas and Phoebe struggle a bit with his Medicham, admittedly getting burnt on the Fire Punch and paralyzed on the Thunder Punch, as the levels are starting to creep up on us. Kylie then one-shots Alakazam with her X-Scissor, while Tiamat one-shots Girafarig with Crunch. Ichika then has a little back and forth with Lucian's Bronzong, but takes it out with a Fire Punch. Before I show you how Cynthia went, I just have to point out how much RNG has messed me up in this entire run. I am by no means without my faults, but I feel like the struggle is more against the game mechanics than the actual battles themselves. Part for the course with Pokémon, I guess. Finally, it was time to take on Champion Cynthia, and her team of 6. She needs no introduction, you know who Cynthia is. Her Spiritomb is pretty easy to take down, we just poison it with Phoebe and then two-shot it with Surf afterwards. Her Roserade not only lives Man's Earthquake twice, but she also gets a crit Shadow Ball off on him. Twice. In a row. But otherwise, we're good here. She kind of fibs and loses her Lucario to Ichika's Drain Punch afterwards, so it balances out, I guess. She then sends out her Garchomp next, so I use Kylie to force it off with a Perisong, while tanking Dragon Rush, and making her send in Gastrodon instead. We use her Gastrodon so we can heal the team by letting Phoebe tank hits from it before it succumbs to poison. And then her Garchomp comes back in and has the audacity to land a critical hit Giga Impact on Phoebe, knocking her out. I was understandably upset by this, like of everything it just had to be a critical hit Giga Impact. But you know what they say about revenge. It is a dish best served cold. Ichika comes in, freezes Garchomp with an Ice Punch, and the following double tap takes it out. The final Pokemon on Cynthia's team is Milotic, so I send in Kylie to sing her Swansong, and that was all she wrote. We have defeated Cynthia, after a long absence from this Nuzlocke project, and I admittedly just kinda sped through it at this point. Albeit it came with a price to pay, as Phoebe would have been nice to have in the back of the PC for the future, but you know, it is what it is and we can't dwell too much on it. For all the hype that it gets, the Sinnoh Elite Foreign Champion just kinda went by in this video just without a hinge. And with Sinnoh completed, we have 5 champions and 3 MVPs joining us in the Nova. Swinub, Heracross, Spheal, Gibble, Apom, Shellos, Meditite, and a shiny Cricketot, all available for use in a region where you normally can't use them, with some bonus moves that will actually come in handy much faster than you think. I don't have much more else to say. I'll get started on the Unova run soon enough, and I will see you all when that time comes. And sorry if this feels a little bit rushed, I just wanted to get the Sinnoh parts completed as fast as possible, so you know, quality is what it is. Kubel Claw signing out for now. Peace.